The last part of lesson 4.7 is what we call the power rule. And there's an interesting rule that we don't prove in this class, but we use, where you say log base b of n to the power of x is equal to x times log base b to the n. So these are equivalent expressions. So this is an equation. So for example, if I wanted to simplify this part, you can see since there's an exponent, that can just come to the front, and then I can just do log base 10 of 100, which equals 2, and then you do 1.8 times 2. This is, again, what we call the power rule, and that's going to allow us to solve equations like this right here. Again, look at the power rule. Those are equivalent statements, and so when we take the log to solve an exponential equation here, this is an exponential equation. To solve an exponential equation, this is what you have, an exponential function, but it's an equation. You use logs to solve that. And so what you do is you take the log of both sides, which you have. Oh, my bad, you don't take the log of both sides yet. I was going to show that after. So what happens is right here. This, again, we could do in the old way is by looking at the definition, but the other way is coming down here in red is to take the log of both sides. And then what happens is once you have that right here, the x can come in the front there. And then with that you have this equation, and then you divide both sides by log of 4. Notice I haven't simplified anything. I'm going to do that now. Now that we have over here, these would cancel, and you have x is equal to log 500 over log of 4. You put that into Desmos, and you get an answer, 4.483. So we use the power rule to solve exponential equations by taking the log of both sides. Log of 500 divided by the log of 4. So you can see log of 500, log of 4. You can see 4.483. So how you would get that answer there. There you go. And so now we can answer questions using what we learned in exponential equations. So here's the equation set up for the population because it's been shrinking 1.5%, and 1 minus 0.015 would be 0.985. And then we're looking, when will it reach half of its value? So it was here. And so we're trying to find out when is that equation equal to half of 54. And so you can see 54, 500 divided by 2 is equal to your 27, 250. And so then to solve this equation, before I take the log of both sides, I divide both sides, so that cancels. This equals 1/2. Now that we have this, I solve it like I did over here by taking the log of both sides. So this becomes log of 1/2, log of 0.985. And once you've done that, we use the power rule to bring the t in front, and then divide both sides by that number here, and then you end up getting use the Desmos calculator to end up with 45. And so the question of when will the population reach its value, we would say in about 45, 46 years. So in the year 2045 or 46, that would be our answer there. So in approximately 2045 or 2046, that's 45 years after 2000, it would get to half its population at that rate. Again, these other questions follow the same format. Take the log of both sides after you divide. You can see what we end up with here. Divide both sides, the t comes in front. Get an answer, and then you have in about 4 months after April 1st, 2010. You may need to pause to look at that, but again, we're taking the log of both sides. Here's another one. After we set up the equation, when will it equal this amount? Divide both sides by 27,000. All right, and that's what allows us to get down to this equation here. Once you have it as an exponential equation expression, take the log of both sides. This here equals 0.4, and then you could go ahead and solve it after. Get your decimals calculator. So in about 5 or 6 years after, so 2021, 2022. And then these other questions again follow the same format. Here's your equation for investing in 6% a year. This is at 12% a year. Again, we're trying to find out when will it reach 20,000. There's your equation. And then you see where we get a 4 because I divide both sides by 5,000. And so that's where that comes from. Take the log of both sides. The t comes down in front. And then you can get your answer. And then it's the same exact math. Instead of 6% is 12%. And so you have the 1.2 there and go through the same math. And you get in about 12 years if you have a 12% rate. That's it.